Hello. Today I have a nonfiction book called A Paradise Built in Hell by Rebecca Solnit, The Extraordinary Communities That Arise in Disaster. And the disasters that she talks about are like the beginning one is the San Francisco earthquake or fire. She says that they used to call it the fire. This is what happened in 1906 in San Francisco. There was a big earthquake and then there was a fire. And she says that the real estate people didn't like to call the earthquake the earthquake. They called it the fire because any place could get fires, and earthquakes are kind of particular to fault lines and so forth. So it looked better for real estate and so forth just to call it a fire instead of making people think that San Francisco is a dangerous place to live because of all the earthquakes, which maybe it kind of is. I don't know. Anyway, I'm an Easterner. We don't have earthquakes yet. Maybe we'll have an enormous one day in New York. That'd be something, wouldn't it? So, yeah, and that would be something. And she talks about what went on during the fire, the earthquake, and how government screwed things up. Like right away, people started helping one another. They would bring their stoves out of wood stoves, whatever they used, out of their apartments and cook on the street and things like that, because they couldn't use their apartments to cook because there was a ordinance because of the fires and earthquake that you couldn't have fires indoors right then. So yeah, she talks about all these things that the people on the street did, that the people in the neighborhoods did to help one another, organizations that rose up out of the disaster that were organic and improvisational. That's a word she uses a lot in this, because these organizations that arise up out of nothing, out of just the people, have the ability to improvise in the situation, unlike the government, the mainstream governments and so forth, who are all locked into a certain way of doing things and cannot be helpful in some situations. Like she talks about the mayor of San Francisco at that time saying we're going to shoot looters, and an army that just decided to go in, not being sent in, regular army troops apparently, who went in and to help out. But what they did is they shot people as looters who just needed supplies and were taking them out to the street to help other people. So all this business about saving property over saving the lives of people is something that goes along in this book quite a bit, because authority and government is mostly interested in property, apparently. So yeah, so the soldiers came in and shot a lot of people, started fires that they didn't know what they were doing, so they started fires as a break, which meant more fires, and basically screwed up everything and did a terrible job. So that's what went on with the San Francisco earthquake, and what she starts out telling us. And she covers another earthquake, one in Mexico. And in Mexico, in San Francisco, other institutions sort of went on after that arose out of the thing, out of the earthquake. These people, organic institutions that then the government will break down, try to stop. Like she talks about New York City during 9/11 and how we here in New York did things that helped each other. Like she talks about in Union Square, where there was a big banner put up in Union Square and everybody would come in and write things, and people missing names of people would go up, and all these things where people could communicate with one another. I probably have photos of these somewhere, but if I dig through all my archives, when I used a camera back then as opposed to an iPhone. So in 9/11, there was this one particular guy set up this thing in Union Square, and it organically, and everybody came and participated, and then 3 weeks into it, the cops came, the park department, whatever, and tore everything up and threw it away. So once the order comes in, the old order comes in and shuts things down. She talks about earthquake in Mexico in 1985, I believe, and what happened there, and the organic community that rose up from that, and institutions, became institutions that remain till this day. So that's basically what goes on in the book, talking about all these different disasters, and the idea is that if we were to be left alone a little bit more from the government, from control, and did things on our own a little bit more, we would have a happier life. And the paradise is that people get great joy out of this. So these disasters, these horrible times, all these people dying, all these horrible things that are going on, that are in essence what happens with disaster. It is really a disaster, but in the meantime, all these other things can grow up out of it, and things that people do for themselves, which is good for them, for themselves, for their community. And so it can make these disaster times sort of like the happiest times for some people, in that they found community, they found working with other people, and how that worked, and how that reinforced them, and how that made them feel so much better and vital, and like they're doing something and connected to a community. Humans like to be connected to things. I talk about myself sometimes, and I read a book like this, and I know that, I'm not the type that can connect. If something happens, I'm going to be kind of just on my own. I'm not capable of, I'm too shy, too like individualistic, too like screwed up in some sort of American Ayn Rand type of way that, I can't really put myself into these situations. I'm too shy, too screwed up. I don't think I'm good enough. I don't think, whatever. All these things that in these situations in the book, where disaster strikes and people find that they can rise to the cause and do wonderful things for themselves and their community. It's a great thing for them. So yeah, she talks about 9/11, and how even like Giuliani came out looking good in 9/11. And she of course talks about how he came in and slammed down everything, and how he screwed up to begin with by putting the command center in the World Trade Center area, which was it went down in what, Building 7? Is that the one where the controversial how it collapsed with no planes hitting it? So anyway, that's another matter. So yeah, this is the book, and this is the whole point of the book. I think what she wrote the book is what it's really about, is a guide to helping people go into connecting with other people, and how that can be a wonderful thing for themselves and for the community. I like to say where I heard of the book. This one I think I heard on Team Human. I think the guest was Carne Ross, Carne Ross. and he happened to mention the book in passing, and so that's where I heard about the book. She talks about the Rainbow Family even at the end. You know what the Rainbow Family are? The Rainbow Family is kind of comes out of a sort of a hippie aesthetic. Rainbow Family since the 70s have been going to the summer, have been going into national forests and setting up a living situation in the natural forests of all over the country. Like, so they'll do it in Vermont this year, they'll do it in Colorado some other year, and that's the Rainbow Family. So the Rainbow Family is her idea of a mutual aid society, because they come in with everything. They set it up themselves. They clean up after themselves. They a team comes in early and brings makes sure there's water to the site. Maybe even putting pipes through the forest that bring the water from a stream or a spring into where the camp's going to be. And she talks about how even out of that, some good things grew that went beyond the rainbow. She talks about a food thing that was offered rainbow people who, at the time of Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, rainbow people got together and created a food place down in New Orleans to help the people, and it worked out really well. So, so yeah, she talks about the Rainbow Family. And regarding Hurricane Katrina and what went on there, she really comes down heavily on the horrible racism that was involved in that situation. A combination of urbanity and suburbanity conflicting, and urbanity with all the black people, and Serbian suburbans without any black people or less so. And anyway, they were kept from walking over a bridge from New Orleans into safety in this other neighborhood on the other side of the bridge, and that they were stopped in the bridge. And so all these things that, you know, they're stuck in the stadium. So Katrina is an example of the government really doing very badly in that situation, and you know, screwing things up and killing a lot of people for no reason, and the horrible racism involved with you know, the suburbanites not wanting these black people into their neighborhoods. Overriding all this is how she talks about how people go into this, the prejudice they have, their feel about humans in general, is what affects this on disaster time. Like the people in power, what do they think the humans are going to do? You know, people in power generally think that the humans are going to go crazy. If there's a disaster, they're going to go run amok. They're going to run around killing one another. That's what they said was going on in Katrina. They're going to, lawlessness will break out. There's going to be all these rapes going on, all this chaos, all this looting, all this stuff that they are concerned about. And when it comes down to it, when it's come down on the day, these things are not the factors that really run the day. They are, you know, some people are like that. That's true, but and the people who are like that are usually the ones set on this sort of mindset that everybody else is going to be awful, so I better be awful too. I better get a gun and protect mine because everybody else is going to be that way too. So that whole notion of how humans are and how humans act and how they're going to behave in this kind of situation sets it all up to begin with, and kind of determines how the government, how officials are going to treat all these things, and how they're going to act when there's a disaster. If they're going to come on all hardcore and say, okay, we're going to shoot all the looters, and we're going to have, all that kind of stuff. It sets up an environment that, well, people get scared, and often we will act as we are considered. You think I'm a horrible guy? Well, then maybe I'll start acting like a horrible guy. Am I a horrible guy? Maybe. Anyway, that is A Paradise Built in Hell by Rebecca Solnit. It allowed me to think about some things about disasters and about the mindset of people, how you think about other humans. Are we all in competition with one another, or are we potentially in a situation where we could cooperate and build a better world for ourselves together? Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to you next time.